Now, it's been an incredibly long time, but it's finally time to head back to Sardegna. Now, of course, once upon a time, this event was full of incredibly overpowered cars from Group C's, Group 2's, and of course, even the Escudo Pikes Peak. And whilst those days are a little bit behind us now, it's finally time to head back with an updated build. Huge shout out to the Overtake GT for this incredible Nissan GT500 build. However, before we do get into this video, I'm trying to get this channel to 70,000 subscribers. So if you want to stay up to date with everything GT7 and motorsport gaming related, well then of course, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to it with the actual car itself. So let's head over to Brand Central then to take a look at the Nissan GTR Nismo GT500 from 2016. Now, certainly over the years, the Group 2 category of car has of course received a nerf, pretty much like everything else in GT7. However, thanks to their insane downforce, they remain incredibly strong here at Sardegna. Couple that with great tyre wear and of course incredible fuel consumption, and you're always going to be in for a winner. Now, unlike the likes of the Group C's and Escudo Pikes Peaks of 2022 and 2023, the Group 2 certainly remains strong. In terms of the GTR Nismo then, it has a displacement of 1998cc, an FR drivetrain, 612 brake horsepower, and weighs just over 1000 kilograms, and of course it's turbocharged. This one right here has a price point of 800,000 credits, but you'll earn that back within a single hour of grinding with this car, so it's definitely worth the investment. Today's livery is the Calsonic Import GTR, made by Hero 46. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the tuning of the car then. Now, the first single thing that you are going to want to make sure you're running on this car is a Type A rear wing. Some people don't know this, but some of the modern Group 2 race cars do actually have different rear wings. The standard is typically smaller and the Type A is typically much bigger, featuring a lot more downforce tuning options, and that is the one that you're going to want. As for the tuning sheet then, racing hards are going to be the only compound needed for this single event. In terms of suspension settings, body height at the front is 40 and 60 at the rear. Anti-roll bar at the front is going to be set to 8 and 9 at the rear. As for compression, well, this is going to be set across the board at 32, with expansion the same but at 50. In terms of natural frequency, this is 4.35 front and 4.55 rear, with negative camber angle being 2.7 across. As for toe angle then, at the front it's 0.05 outwards and 0.10 inwards at the rear. As for the differential settings, torque is set to 5, acceleration is set to 10, and braking sensitivity is going to be set to 5. Next up, onto the transmission then. This is the fully customizable racing transmission, set to 300 on the top speed. As for manual adjustments, ensure that they match the following. Final is 3.000, sixth is 1.288-311, fifth is 1.400-274, fourth is 1.596-240, third is 1.906-201, second is 2.387-160, and first is 3.233-118. Just ensure that they do match. In terms of ballast, don't worry about this too much. It is set to 200 with 0 positioning. No restriction on the power restrictor. However, on the fully customizable ECU, this is down to 94. Now, as for downforce, at the front it's 650, which is a minimum, and 1150 at the rear, or the maximum. Turbocharger is normal with anti-lag system set to weak. Handbrake don't change, it's honestly completely pointless, so just leave that. But as for the brake balance, I recommend maybe 2 or 3 towards the rear. Again, it just makes the car handle overall much better under braking. And with that, we fully complete our tuning sheet. So let's move in to the event itself then, including difficulty. Now, the first thing I'm going to say here is I fully recommend just running the race on hard. This way, the amount of traffic that you run into is massively reduced. There's nothing worse at Sardegna than constantly hitting AI traffic. Finding the event we're using here is super simple. What you want to do is head into World Circuits, and of course from here you're going to be heading into Europe. Now, once you load it up, you're going to be looking for Sardegna Road Track. Do not get it confused with Sardegna Windmills. That is the off-road variant. You're looking for the on-road track. And then of course look for this event right here, the World Touring Car 800 with 15 laps, and this is the one that you're going to want to go ahead and enter. So with that then, let's move in to the build explain then. Now honestly, looking back at GT7 in 2022 and 2023, Sardegna was definitely my go-to event during that time period. In fact, a lot of the cars we had then was absolutely incredible. We had the likes of the broken Suzuki Escudo, Group 2 cars that were even quicker, and even Group C machinery that could lap with impressive speed almost constantly. Now, unfortunately, those days are kind of behind us. A lot of the nerfs have really hit the 800 pp kind of barrier here, which means that Sardegna just isn't as strong as it once was. However, this is such a super simple and easy event to run that something like the Group 2 Nissan we're running here is absolutely perfect for it. Whilst at the Spa 800 1 hour event, I would certainly run something like the 787B that I showed last week. When it comes to Sardegna, I feel like it's a completely different type of event. For me, downforce and grip levels are always going to be key, and the Group 2 cars are still perfect at it, even if they have received a bit of a nerf. So whilst the Sardegna strategy is super simple, I'm still going to cover it just in case there's someone out there that's never ran this event. So the first thing you want to do then is put the car in fuel mix free. You're going to be running this for the majority of the event. As for the clean race bonus here, it's incredibly difficult to actually lose it. The only way you can is by overtaking under yellow flags and getting the penalty for it. Of course, that is incredibly rare here. Anyway, for the opening 5 laps or so, you just want to be working your way through the grid, picking the AI off one by one. Of course, just be careful that you don't absolutely ram into them because damage is turned on and it will affect your performance. Now, of course, the main strong point here with the Group 2 is absolutely the downforce. You can hold a lot more grip through the corners, unlike the Group 3 machinery. However, you may be pretty much matching them in terms of top speed. However, you can go into this event for much longer than they can. The majority of them will pit maybe kind of 2 or 3 times during the entire event, with only 2 cars and a one-stop strategy like yourself. Now, in terms of your pit stop, you want to be doing this at the end of lap 8. At that point, the hards are going to start wearing off and your performance will actually start dropping. And of course, you'll probably have to pit at this point anyway for fuel. So go ahead, get into the pits, put on a new set of racing hards, and of course just fill the car to full. Even though the notch will probably tell you to put a little bit less in, I always fill to full so that I can go ahead and switch to fuel mix 1 to just burn off that excess at the end of the event. Now, pit stop time here at Sardegna is around about 30 to 36 seconds or so. However, you can do a fuel mix 6 0 stop strategy, but honestly the lap times are just so slow that you may as well just go ahead and do fuel mix 3 and a single pit stop. Now, once you get to about the end of lap 12, kind of onto lap 13, you can pretty much turn the car up to fuel mix 1 and run it this way as fast as possible to the end of the event. I did this a little bit late, unfortunately, and it did cost me a good few seconds in the end, but in terms of the finish for this event, it should be super simple and super easy to get yourself up across that line. In terms of the overall time, definitely not the fastest we've ever seen at Sardegna, but definitely one of the easiest, most comfortable builds. So let's go ahead and get onto the payout then. In terms of the payout for this one, every 25 minutes or so you are looking at 727,500 credits. Of course, over an hour this is just over 1.4 million, around about 1.6 million if you're being incredibly specific. And that's of course going to take us to the 100 million mark as well, and that's going to complete it for our Sardegna 800 pp method. Massive thank you to everybody watching this video, and of course a massive thank you to all of my channel members. I also want to give a huge shout out once again to the Overtake GT for this incredible Group 2 build. It feels fantastic to be running there once again in Group 2 machinery, which has always been my personal favourite around here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.